UFC 304 going down from London, England. In the main event, it was Belal Muhammad. Remember the name, with a performance you will never forget. A dominant victory over Leon Edwards. So let's get into that. I thought Muhammad fought the perfect fight on Saturday night, or early Sunday morning, and we'll get into that in a second. I thought he fought the perfect fight to win that championship. His hands were quick, they were improved, and that's part of a bigger story with Belal we'll get to in a second, but I think that really threw off Leon Edwards, the speed that his strikes were able to come with, and the precision that they had, and some of the power that they had behind him, and that set everything up. He strung together all of the elements of mixed martial arts so impressively, where he was able to get pressure off of his striking, relentless pressure that would back Edwards up into the fence. He gets the takedown, and he gets his control from there. He set up the takedowns beautifully. He strung everything together with his hands that set up the ground game, that set up him winning a championship. His control on the ground then was fantastic. I would have liked to have seen a few more threats, just personally, whether it was submission threats or a little bit more impactful ground and pound. But one thing that I think is lost on people when we talk about these, and it starts from the top with Dana White, to be able to hold down a championship level human for essentially 25 minutes, when they don't want to be held there, is really difficult to do and really impressive. And so for Belal Muhammad to just control this fight the way that he did was high level stuff and deserving of being the welterweight champion. The fact that he keeps improving is insane. He's 36 years old and he's getting better and better with each fight. And all of this, the long road that he has taken, I think has developed him into a really well-rounded mixed martial artist. There were times where he was probably deserving of this opportunity. I don't know if he has been as ready for this opportunity as he was Sunday morning in England at 5:30 a.m. I think that he should have been further in the line a number of different times, but I think that he really rounded out his game in this longer journey that got him to be a complete martial artist and now has led him to be a champion. On the other side, tough night for Leon Edwards. So much pressure on him going into your hometown as the champion with everything else that is going on. And I don't want to take anything away from Belal because it was a brilliant performance. I felt like Leon Edwards underestimated Belal Muhammad in this one. I think you could see when he got punched a couple times, it was like, does not compute. I wasn't ready for this one. Why is that punching me? That wasn't supposed to be punching me. That was supposed to be trying to take me down. And so that, I think, kind of flustered Leon Edwards a little bit. And it also, I think, then led to a lot of his demise because he's not circling the way you would from a regular striking threat. He's just backing into the fence and being taken down. And then when he is on the ground, he's not doing enough to disengage and get back to the area where he should have the greater approach on the feet, where like I just said, he was getting tagged. And so maybe that just threw everything off. And he's like, well, I'm getting shit pumped here on the feet. That was supposed to be my area, so maybe I'll try to win it in his area here down on the ground. Like maybe it just really flustered things with him for this particular fight. But he would get out from underneath Belal and it's like, okay, well, here we go. And then he would stay engaged in the clinch and he's not hand fighting and he's not doing any of the things that you need to do to get out of that situation into a spot that you would feel would be more advantageous for him. So I thought he fought a really poor fight. And I felt like he was maybe a little bit flustered in there with everything else that was going on around him. But the thing that I thought was really concerning, he didn't handle Belal's forward pressure at all. And it was something that people are calling for Colby Covington to do in their fight a few months ago. And Colby didn't use his traditional forward pressure. And now you're wondering, like, if he did, would he have been champion? Now, part of that Leon Edwards striking kept Colby at a bit of a distance. And Belal was like, fuck it, man. This is my only chance to win the welterweight championship. At 36 years old, with the route they made me take to get here anyway, I am not John Finching myself. So if I gotta eat a couple punches to the face, my guy, I am eating a couple punches to the face, and I am walking through that. And so I thought the level of urgency and desperation was more so on the side of the challenger than it was on the champion. And I think that, again, threw Leon Edwards off a little bit and just had him fighting a real ineffective fight. And I understand we all romanticize John Jones, where, oh my God, he went out there and he struck with the striker, and he went out there and grappled with the grappler, and he beat all these guys at their best game. And yes, that is some high level shit. And I feel like Leon Edwards tried to do that a couple of times. In the Colby fight, he tried to do some wrestling. And in the Belal Muhammad fight here, he tried to do some wrestling. And I think that kind of overtook the better judgment of him just having the advantage on the feet and really trying to solidify that advantage. And it just didn't really work for him on this night. I still think Leon Edwards is a very good fighter and a championship level fighter. I just think this was a bad night for him and a great night for Belal Muhammad, who again, 100% deserves all the flowers that he is getting. In the co-main event, Tom Aspinall continues to get the job done with his fight-altering power, knocking out Curtis Blaydes, technically, in exactly 1 minute's time. That power is otherworldly, man. Like, this is the second time where it looks like it is a glancing blow, and it either... Like for Pavlovich, it put him on roller skates, and for Blaydes, it just sent him tumbling, and that was that. And because Aspinall is such a great athlete for a heavyweight, he is so quick to pounce and then just unloads the chamber, ground and pound. And who knows if this would have ended up being Shane Carwin versus Brock Lesnar, where he just punches his arms out, and then rounds 2 through 5, he's getting just ragdolled around there. We'll never know because the referee stepped in, maybe a touch early on the stoppage, but it didn't look like anything was happening on Blaydes' end to alter how things were going to go. So I thought this was a much better way of handling things than just letting him take a little bit more punishment. But for Tom Aspinall, he is the best heavyweight in the sport. And I said in the previews and all throughout the week, I just want this John Jones stuff with Stipe Miocic finished so that we can get to like the actual fun stuff in the heavyweight division and give Tom Aspinall the platform that he deserves. That's what I want from all of this. Third from the top, it was Paddy Pimblett with an impressive win over Bobby Green. I said in the preview, this was Paddy Pimblett's biggest fight, and he put on his best performance. This was an unbelievable showing for Paddy Pimblett. He used his size advantage perfectly. They got in there, it's like, oh, well, one of them is bigger than the other. And he used that reach to his advantage. He was using the kicks to keep Bobby Green at distance and still using his hands when Green would come close so that he never really let Bobby Green establish that range. And then for him to get to the point where Green is shooting for a takedown on him, that really showed to me the advances in the stand-up and the edge in the stand-up that Paddy Pimblett had in this particular fight. And that led it to the ground, and that led it to the show being closed. This is the Paddy Pimblett we have all wanted to see. For the last couple of fights, it hasn't necessarily been there. This was the guy that we wanted Paddy Pimblett to be, and he showed up in a big-time way. Like I said, this was the best performance of his career. He keeps fighting like that, he's going to have a number beside his name for a long time. And like performances like that, he might get a title opportunity probably first quarter 2025. He probably gets one more fight in here. That is, so maybe second quarter 2025. Gets one more fight here as his first top 15, then maybe work into a title eliminator, and then boom. Because I do think there is going to be a bit of a rocket attached to him. He's not going to have to take the Belal Muhammad route to get to this point. And for Bobby Green, he still is a competitive mixed martial artist. He just isn't on this guy's level. And that's what it is. The other ones that were on this card, Gregory Rodriguez absolutely dominates Christian Leroy Duncan in a really controlling fashion. I had said coming in that I thought this would be like a real exciting throwdown, and it just wasn't. It could have been, but Rodriguez was like, yeah, you know what? I feel like just controlling this entire fight. He dictated where this fight took place, and he dictated the pace that it took place at. He was in complete control of this entire fight, and he is showing to be a really well-rounded fighter. We knew coming in like, obviously he is a billion-time wrestling and jiu-jitsu champion, but he also has the power that he showed in his last fight to knock guys out legitimately. And so all of it is coming together in this really well-rounded form that makes this guy really, really scary to face at 185 pounds. For Leroy Duncan, it derails the hype train a little bit. Excuse me. I think it's just him kind of going back to the drawing board a little bit, because this was a complete domination of him, and I did not expect that. So there needs to be, I think, a little bit more done in his camp to get him back to this level now. And in the pay-per-view opener, it was Arnold Allen against Giga Chikadze. This was just a high-level mixed martial arts fight. Both fighters come out of this with a higher stock than when they went in. And I think it was really impressive. Admittedly, I thought Chikadze still did enough, in the second round, landing more impactful punches, so I actually had him winning this fight. But it seemed like most people disagreed, so I'm willing to admit that I'm just maybe off on this one. But for Arnold Allen to be able to figure out that chess match again, and like things are going against him for the third fight in a row, and to be able to stop it from circling the drain and come away with a big victory is some really high level stuff, and kind of gets him back on that trajectory toward a potential title challenge again, probably sometime in 2025. And for Chikadze, he just needs to fight more, man. Like he only fought once each of the last 2 years. This is his first fight since August of 2023. He needs to get another fight in, and another fight in, and another fight in. Like, just keep that ring time going, because this is a very talented fighter in there. A couple other news and notes things from this. I think Michael Bisping is a really high level commentator, but it was getting tough to listen to whenever a UK fighter was in there, because he couldn't say more than one critical thing about a UK fighter at a time without then having to put that fighter over. And it was getting to the point where it was obvious. Like, if I'm noticing it, it's obvious. And it was like, well, Leon landed 2 good elbows here in the 5th round. Maybe he won this fight. And that just simply wasn't the case. And the Leroy Duncan one, where he is like, he has a very clear way of winning, and that is fighting at a distance and having it be a pretty striking contest. And he's grappling with him. And Bisping saying, well, I mean, what do you expect? Like, he's fighting for survival. It's like, well, I expect him to fight the way that is advantageous to him. Like, it felt like there was a lot of excuse making for UK fighters, and there was a lot of just, it became very obvious, and it sounded like, and look, like I've been there. Not at that high of a level, certainly, but talking on the rights holder for the Calgary Flames, and you know that certain people are listening. There are times where you're not going to go as all in on them as maybe you would on a podcast or an internet platform or something along those lines. And so when you have a relationship with these people, it becomes difficult to do that. And it felt like in his head, he was thinking about the conversations he would have to have with these fighters after. And so that led to some of the commentary being a little bit not as critical of those fighters as maybe the moment deserved. And I'm not saying, like, go out there and be like, oh yeah, actually Leon Edwards is dog shit and probably doesn't even deserve to be in the PFL. I'm not saying that, but just be realistic of the situation and not be looking for different ways to credit your guy. And when a UK fighter eats 3 bombs in a row and sends him back a little bit, don't be like, yeah, but that counter left got through. It was really, really frustrating. And the other frustrating part of it is that I think Bisping is a really, really good commentator. And there were some times where he would pick up on things a round or two sooner than commentary normally does. Like, I think he has a real mind for this. And obviously he has an amazing personality, and he's so much fun. And I've been able to at least be in the same room once when the UFC came here and all the media was around, and he's one of those guys where all of a sudden everything just attracts to him, and he is all of a sudden the center of attention because he's so entertaining, he's so engaging, and it seems like a genuinely nice guy. But it became really obvious on this night, and it was a little frustrating. And then on the officiating, that was just horrendous. We need to stop with warnings in the cage. Like, maybe this is an overreaction, but I would rather overreact this way than Leon Edwards getting away with cage grabs in the 5th round, a crucial round of a championship fight. Like, we saw cage grab, warning. Eye pokes, Warning. Dude was getting his trunks pulled off. Warning. That can't keep happening. To me, I don't care, like incidental, whatever. You got limbs flying over the place, fine. Call it like high sticking in hockey, where you are supposed to be in control of your weapons at all times. And so incidental, don't give a shit. The one I can is headbutts, because like different stanced fighters, that's just that is an occupational hazard and it sucks. So the headbutts I will grant you. But eye pokes, it's 2024, man. We know. Like, you're not supposed to lead like this with your hands pointed straight out, guys, right? That's you're not supposed to be a thing. When you're doing a leg kick, don't hit them in the balls. When you're getting taken down, don't grab the fence. We've known this for forever. These aren't new rules that you are implementing. These have been for forever. And so to me, your last warning is the one you get in the back, or if you're doing the main event with Bruce Buffer's mic in the face of the official. That's the last warning you get. Anything else, a foul is a foul, and you take full responsibility for those. I am done with fighters getting advantages off of a number of different things, and oh, well, it was probably incidental. Like, okay, fine, still a foul. You are the best athletes in the world, figure it out. And lastly, the timing of this. Dana White complaining about fighters not really getting after it. A, I thought this was an entertaining fight card. I really enjoyed this show. B, it's 5:30 in the morning there. And I understand, like, there are ways to go about it where you don't change your body clock. But when you are asking these guys to be doing media out there, and also, like, just how your body works with how the sun works and all of that, it's asinine and just kind of an asshole move to criticize how these fighters are fighting when you're making them fight at 3:30 in the goddamn morning. And so it's another example of Dana White being completely tone deaf and really frustrating. So that was just last thing I wanted to say about that. So that's what happened last weekend.